Welcome into our WFA Plus immediate reaction show to the NBA Draft Lottery, where the Dallas Mavericks just moved up from the 11th best odds in the lottery to get the number 1 overall pick. They had a 1.8% chance to get the number 1 pick, an 8.5% chance to end up in the top 4. They do both those things and win the draft lottery. Cooper Flagg will be a Dallas Maverick. It is completely unbelievable, and we're going to try to make sense of this over the course of the next little bit. Mike Leslie, Andrew Seeley, Jonah Javad joining us from home. Jonah, wrap your brain around this one.
I can't. I was about to put the little one, get ready for bedtime, and then I turned my head to the TV. I didn't think this was happening.
No.
I don't think anybody thought it was happening. And so, yeah, I mean, this is just amazing for Mavericks fans, and yet it's got to feel a little bit bittersweet at the same time, because there are still so many fans that are angry at ownership and at management. And this is a victory under management and ownership's umbrella. Whether they really had anything to do with a 1.8% chance or not, doesn't matter. But still, this is a victory they get to celebrate along with Mavericks fans, which is not something we've seen those two sides do for the last, 3-4 months. So, yeah, I mean, it's incredible because this organization was barreling towards the cliff, and just the lack of draft capital in the future, and getting a talent like Cooper Flagg now negates all of that. They're not going to reach that cliff, and this is a U-turn. And a chance to build and be a contender at the same time. It's remarkable, and nobody on the face of the earth is happier than Nico Harrison.
We've been talking about it in the newsroom.
Yeah.
The fan base deserves this. The organization doesn't. They're both going to reap the benefits from this, and the fans absolutely deserve it, because the fans have been kicked in the teeth over and over and over again for the last 3 months, and now finally they have something positive to cling to. But yeah, the Nico Harrison of it all, this isn't going to erase that anger for a lot of Mavs fans, and it will be interesting to see how we walk down these kind of simultaneous paths over the next couple of months. The excitement for, oh my gosh, Cooper Flagg's going to be a Maverick, but then there is still that lingering pain and, frankly, anger about the decision to trade Luka Doncic. They shouldn't have been in the draft lottery. If they hadn't traded Luka, they wouldn't have been in the draft lottery. But they do now have the opportunity to draft a kid that is 18 years old, is a can't-miss prospect, won't turn 19 until December. The way you put it, Jonah, is perfect. This is, you were barreling toward the cliff and you just pulled a U-turn. And frankly, as we've been talking about here in the newsroom for the last half an hour or so, it's hard not to wonder how the U-turn came to be. This is the NBA that we're talking about. These things have happened before.
I was going to say, can we dip into the controversy of this a little bit? Again, the timing of this is suspect on a number of levels. But to add to it a little bit more, they did replay the 85 draft where Ewing was selected right before the top 4 happened, as if they knew everyone was going to try and make that connection anyway. And again, like, only a certain number of people knew beforehand and all that kind of stuff. But it's hard not to see everything lined out, and the plan happened where Luka goes to LA and basically revitalizes viewership for the NBA almost immediately, specifically in that market, but around the nation as well. And you all of a sudden add another young talent to Dallas almost as compensation, Jonah. It's hard not to make that leap almost instantly. It looks like most of social media doing the same thing.
Well, Andrew, this is 2025, where conspiracy theories are more important than fact. And yeah, I mean, this seemed to, this has taken on a life of its own. And listen, if you're not a Mavericks fan, I could totally understand you thinking it's rigged. We get to cover these sports pretty closely. We're never 100% sure of what goes on behind those doors, because we're not behind those doors. Now, do I want to dive into that conspiracy and think it's real? Of course I do, because that would be amazing. Could you imagine the theater? This whole thing is already absolute cinema.
Yeah.
But I've got it. I have to take my, put my objective hat on and just think that this is the basketball gods rewarding a fan base that had been in utter despair and depression for the last 3 months, and that this is a victory for them. But yeah, again, the word I come back to is bittersweet. You know, how many times you get the number one pick, and it's still there's a part of you that's like, dang it. You know,
Yeah.
it's weird. It's such a that's what makes this whole 2025 Mavs season just unlike anything we have seen in the NBA. You know, fans kind of at war with their inner fan. You know, and I wonder if there's some fans out there that are annoyed that they got the number one pick, because now it doesn't give it gives them being angry,
Right.
and the Mavs being bad. The Mavs being bad validates that anger.
Right.
The Mavs being good does not.
So,
That's how it all changes now. That's the scope.
Yeah, but that plays into something we were discussing last night on the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, which is the West was wide open this year. Like the OKC was dominant, sure, but they've been struggling against a veteran-laden team, which was what the Mavs would have been had they played them in the playoffs. So I'm sure where Mavs fans are sitting there thinking, there's a chance we could be hoisting the title this year. Like, this could have been the title or the first one of a long decade of Luka finally getting over the hump in the Mavs, and now all of a sudden you hit the reset button, and then 2 months later, all of a sudden, fertile ground again, Mike. I mean, the whiplash of this is crazy. And then on top of it,
unbelievable.
You add on top of it Flagg coming in right alongside Paige Beckers. You're talking about a huge revitalization of basketball in Dallas specifically. And it's exciting and also kind of nerve-wracking to kind of juggle all of the potential storylines we're going to get to through the summer.
I'm just excited to see how Jerry Jones, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
What's he going to do now? He already traded for George Pickens.
Somehow manages to squeeze his butt into the middle of all of this and
right.
You know, take the attention away from the hardwood.
I don't believe, to go back to your conspiracy theory point there, Jonah, for just a second, the people that talk about the games being rigged, like you said, we're there courtside, we're there in the press box on Sundays for Cowboys games. I do not believe for a second, even with whatever influence you want to talk about from officiating or what have you, that the games themselves even could be rigged. Because we see the work that goes in for guys like Dak Prescott, for guys like Anthony Davis, for guys like Mikko Rantanen, take your pick. There's no way you could convince me that these guys worked as hard as they did to get to this point, all the way through their peewee, high school, collegiate careers, to finally get to the pros and then get told by Adam Silver, hey, so forget whatever legacy you were trying to work on. This is how it's going to play out. Here's the script. There's no way you could convince me of that.
Talk to the Kings in 2002, but go ahead.
Do you think they co-signed it, though?
No, not that they co-signed it. I agree. Some of this, I don't think the players are necessarily as involved. And this is, again, I'm not casting aspersions that nobody else is saying at this point, because the referee scandal has been clear and present for at least 2 decades now. But on some level, go ahead, Jonah.
I was just going to say that there's a dirty, dark part of me that wants like a 30 for 30 to come out in 20 years, and it's Adam Silver sitting in a chair, and he goes, yeah, I rigged the draft. Yeah, I rigged the Luka trade. There's just like
exactly.
There's just some part of me that just none of this. It just feels so out of body, and we're all just in like utter disbelief. I'm almost in as much shock as I was the night they traded Luka about all of this, and again,
exactly
like, what are the common common themes with all of this? And listen, I'm not saying that I believe that, but man, that would be cool if it was.
I guess that's where I was going with this. Like, I can't believe it as it relates to in-game situations. This is more believable. This is pulling the strings at a higher level, at an organizational level where, hey, this is a franchise that, depending on how you could look at it, like you're saying, Jonah, that maybe this was a backroom deal with Nico and Adam Silver in January, and hey, we're going to do this so you can get better ratings in LA, but the Mavs are like, I don't think these are things that happened, but whether it was like that, or if it was Adam Silver looking at the Mavs fan base as dejected as they have been for the last 3 months, and honestly, I'm not even sure dejected is strong enough a word, because this was beyond being upset or bummed about your team not being able to win games. This was outright anger and active decisions to forget that team. I want nothing to do with that team anymore. This was not, I want them to come back and win games again. Forget them. I'm writing them off altogether.
Yeah.
If you're Adam Silver, if you're the commissioner of the NBA, that's a problem. That's a problem. So you can see it's not hard to get there to understand why something like this would be a smart, league-wide organizational move we got to do something about Dallas, man, because they're in a bad way right now. I understand we're not usually ones to traffic in the conspiracy theories, but
it's hard not
this
to.
This is a night where it makes a whole lot of sense, and it's what everybody is talking about.
And if you're asking what the odds are, 1.8%. That's what the odds we're heading into this. This is now supplants the Atlanta Hawks from 2019 as having the best odds, or the largest jump, I believe, to winning the lottery. So
since they changed the rules in 2019,
exactly.
The Hawks won it last year with a 3% chance. There are a couple of teams that won it with a 1.5%, a 1.7% chance in the previous iteration, where the lowest team in the standings had a 25% chance of winning the top pick, and they still overcame that with a 1.5% chance and jumped up there. But yeah, since they changed the metrics and it's like the top 4 teams all have a 14% chance, they're now the lowest odds to jump up and get the top pick. It's you said it before, Jonah. It's shocking. We were just like this. The Luka trade and this immediately go on a very short list of some of the most shocking things we have seen, not just in DFW sports, in sports. Period.
And we get
for a long time.
And we get it 2 months apart, Jonah.
It's just when I saw the reveal, I mean, part of me was ecstatic because we cover sports for a living, right? And getting to cover Cooper Flagg is going to be so awesome. Getting to cover Luka was so awesome, right? So
yeah,
as a basketball fan, this is sweet. But yeah, I mean, there's weird emotions to all of it because you're just like, when does it stop? It just never stops. Like, sports in this market just are relentless. I mean, it feels like the George Pickens trade happened a month ago. I mean, what? Yeah. Where are we? But that's what makes covering sports in this area so cool is that there's such a fervent fan base, and fans are willing to show up outside the arena with a fake funeral when their favorite player gets traded. Maybe that doesn't happen, in some cities. So. I'm super hyped for the Mavs fans that are hyped, and if they're still pissed off, then that's okay too. I'm never going to tell somebody how to fan. I think everybody's probably going to work through it in their own time. But just let's think more, practically basketball wise here. Cooper Flagg is a baller. I mean, this is I don't know how to. He's not Victor Wembanyama generational talent. But he is far and away the number 1 player in this draft. This isn't one of those drafts where it's like, all right, if we don't get number 1, we end up with 2 or 3. I mean, there's a pretty sizable gap, and there have been in recent years now. That's just the way the NBA draft is kind of constructed. Is it's super top heavy, unlike past years where you can get starters in with lottery picks. But getting to watch him in the tournament, I mean, he just the big stage. He did not shy away from it. Inside-out player, two-way player, defense, offense, perimeter player. I mean, he fits exactly what Nico Harrison wants. That the ability to defend at all points and stretch the floor. It's just they are now one healthy point guard away from being a legitimate contender in the West with the snap of a finger, or should I say the spin of the weighted ping pong ball.
It's unbelievable to me on so many levels, but we were talking about before with being a fan of sports in this market, or like we do covering sports in this market, until about an hour ago.
Oh my God, Freebird's still playing.
Right? But seriously, until about an hour ago, we had, as a market, whether you're a sports fan here or a sports reporter here or whatever the case may be, until about an hour ago, we had basically dropped to 3 viable pro sports franchises that were worth covering. That's how far the Mavs had fallen with what they had done to themselves with that trade and the injuries. And I know it's not just the trade. There's a lot of factors that went into this. But they were on a nosedive path toward irrelevancy, toward 1990s Mavs level disaster. Maybe not next year if they were healthy enough to get through next year and the year after, but like that was off there in the distance 2 or 3 years down the road at minimum.
Yeah.
And this just completely saved them from that, and now we have a 4th team again in this market that, hey, jump in with both feet. This team's going to be fun. Forget about what you think about the front office, about the ownership, about the GM. Like, Those are still real concerns, and believe me, I understand the frustration with those people. But forget all of that. If you're a basketball fan, if you're not an organization fan, you're a basketball fan. You don't go to the games to watch Nico Harrison sit courtside or to watch Patrick Dumont sit courtside. That's not why we go to the games. We go to the games to watch basketball. And from a basketball perspective, I was going to say
there were a couple people that wanted to over the last couple months. Well, they were going specifically for that reason,
but that was the problem. That was when there was nothing else to talk about.
Yeah.
For 3 months, the only thing worth talking about with the Dallas Mavericks was, can you believe what Nico Harrison just did? And oh my gosh, I can't believe they just ruined their franchise. Now that doesn't have to be the discourse anymore. Now we can actually talk basketball again. We can talk about the fact that you're going to have Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, and Cooper Flagg,
provided
3 number 1 overall picks on the same roster. This team is going to be fun again. We can actually talk basketball again. That's the best thing that comes out of this day by a country mile, is we can leave a lot of that garbage in the background and not have to talk about it as much anymore. I don't know.
All good points. I am now fascinated to see what will be the next discourse from management and ownership. Do they think that this Nico, during his year-end press conference, kind of reiterated the similar things he said after the Luka trade, saying that winning will turn the fans, it'll make them come around. Winning will do that. Winning the draft lottery might do that. And we will see. We will see if that unfolds. Because it certainly makes it easier to fan again when you've got a talent like that and what comes with it. So let me make this clear. If they just traded for Giannis this offseason, I think a lot of fans would be excited because, that creates a title window or something for the next couple of years. But Cooper Flagg, at his age and his talent, now opens the Mavs window until Nico Harrison trades into the Lakers in 7 years.
Oh, God. Are you kidding me?
Bing bong.
That's cold-hearted, man. That's cold-hearted.
That's bing bong balls.
But in half seriousness, it is it gives fans a reason to feel good about the future again, and that's where I think a lot of fans were struggling was, all right, I can cheer for Kyrie, I can cheer for AD, but what happens in 2 years? This team's going to stink. Nico and J. Kidd might be gone. What is this organization going to look like? And now they've got an answer. They have that hope. They have that something that they can cling to, and that's kind of that inert fandom that you crave. Is you want to be good now, but you want to be good all the time, year after year.
That's part of the reason why we were so critical of Nico to begin with, because he was adamant about the messaging of, I'm only here for another couple of years left of my contract, and then who knows, I'm probably not going to be here. That was literally the day after he traded Luka. So on some level, that's been part of the messaging this whole time. And you're absolutely right in terms of this resetting the timeline as far as what Mavs fans can expect, or at least hope to expect, from Cooper Flagg in a Mavs uniform. And granted, they still have to make the pick. As I said all the time building up to the Wings drafting Paige Beckers, until they actually select her, I'm holding out, because at least on some level, we've seen enough stuff go sideways in this market over the last couple of months here that you don't want to put the cart too far before the horse. However, that being said, when you part of the timeline differential of this is part of why it's so hard to believe that this happened naturally, because it literally went from hard cut 4 years, we're done, and the Mavs fall off a cliff, to fresh soil again. And not only that, you're getting someone that Nico specifically would be happy with. As Kendrick Perkins said on the desk literally moments afterward, hey, this guy plays both ends of the floor. As if almost like a literal, not a knife in the side, but pretty dang close to saying, hey, the last big prospect that landed in Dallas wasn't doing that. So it's hard not to connect some things and sit there and think, all of this is a little bit too on the nose to draft a player that not only it gives the Mavs a lifeline, but fits exactly the kind of style of play that they were looking to do.
Yeah, and he fits a style of play. It doesn't even matter who the GM or the coach is. I mean, this is just, this is a perfect fit for whatever team drafted him. He's just kind of what the NBA is nowadays. the ideal 3-and-D that can also do a whole bunch of other stuff. So this is going to be just the first domino of many in this new Cooper Flagg era. I'm really curious to get his kind of thoughts on coming to a team that has been so embattled over the last few months. Like, I'm sure he's seen videos and he's seen the reaction. What was his reaction when Luka got traded? Was he kind of in disbelief like the rest of us? And then how do you feel going to then play for that team and that GM? So a lot of new things to unfold here in the coming days and weeks, but wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of wow. It's a lot of wow.
So the Mavs haven't had a number one draft pick. Don't get me wrong. It's like 44 years, right? Was it Mark
Aguirre in 1981? Yep. Mark Aguirre in 1981 is the only time they had won one. They had Jason Kidd as the number 2 overall pick in 94. Yeah. But yeah, only Mark Aguirre in 1981 before the draft lottery came into existence. 85 was the first year of the draft lottery, as New York Knicks fans remember better than anybody with the Patrick Ewing controversy in a very similar kind of situation. But yeah, Aguirre is the only 1-1 in Mavs history.
But let's also put that in perspective. I'm pretty sure none of the three of us were alive the last time that happened.
Nope.
So this is rarefied air and on that alone, let alone all the other surrounding context.
Well, having Dirk Nowitzki and then Luka Doncic for the span of whatever, 26 years, 27 years. I mean, that'll prevent you from having the number one pick.
Yeah.
There was also, this came to mind as well. So we talked a bit about the revitalized fan base and what this might do long term, to inspire Mavs fans to feel good again. What will this do for Nico Harrison and his desire to remain an NBA GM? Because he's got a contract, and by all accounts, based on the moves and his answers in press conferences, it certainly has sounded like a person who doesn't want to be an NBA GM for the rest of his life. A lot of these guys do want to be lifers. They do want to work in NBA front offices, especially as a GM or head of basketball operations for the rest of their career. But, his actions and a lot of the things he's said don't really hint at that. And so if that's the case, does this extend, how long he wants to work for the Mavs or how long he wants to be an NBA GM? I mean, it's not necessarily a reset, but it resets the clock, so to speak, where, if you're Jason Kidd, you're probably thinking, I might be gone in 2 years if we're going to be, a bad basketball team. But if we're not, and we've got Cooper Flagg like 21, 22, you're going to be good for a while. So that is another part of all of this, is how long does that extend the leash of Kidd and Nico, as part of this Dallas regime?
It's funny because on some level, when you deal with the NFL draft, the GMs kind of get a blanket, not endorsement, but like if you tank for a year or really bad, you kind of get the benefit of a doubt. It's like, let's get a young talent in here, see how that reshapes the roster, and then you get an extension. The NBA draft being a lottery kind of changes the calculus on that, because this was not planned. As much as we like the conspiracy part of this, if you're legitimately thinking that this came out of the blue, then as DeMont might look at this, is he going to look at this and say, do I give Nico credit for what's going to happen with Flagg on the roster? In the sense that this just came to us or fell in our lap, not necessarily a move that he made. So that's got to be part of the calculus moving forward, Mike, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, because it's not something that he did. I mean, unless he did do something to make unless this was some backroom handshake deal.
He did say time will tell, so there's that.
Apart from that, there's no element of this that is credit that should be dropped at the feet of Nico Harrison. He didn't do anything. They had ping pong balls fall in their favor and got immeasurably lucky. Less than a 1 in 50 chance they're one of 14 teams that jumps up and wins the draft lottery and gets the best player in this draft class. And not only the best player in this draft class, but the best player in certainly the last 2 draft classes, because Zachary Reisiker was the number 1 pick last year in the NBA draft.
Which we had to look up.
And I was going to say, and I guarantee you a significant portion of the people watching right now went, who?
Yeah.
Cooper Flagg is the best player that we have seen come out going back to Wemby a couple of years ago. So this is a huge, huge development for the Mavericks, but no, it's not. There's no credit to Nico Harrison for that. They just got lucky.
Yeah.
There's two. These are a couple other things to calculate in all of this. One, I got a hypothetical for you boys. Would you trade the number 1 pick for Luka Doncic?
What, you mean Flagg now for Luka?
Yes.
Or no?
No?
No. I feel like the 6 years difference is enough now to sit there and think, because Luka's
Why are you
going on 25.
Why are you acting like the first 6 years are like an NFL running back? Like the end of his career is at 26.
Well, but one that, but then two, as good as we all think Cooper Flagg is going to be.
Luka's a known product.
Exactly.
Right.
You know Luka is a known commodity in this league, and not just a known commodity.
Okay.
How many good Zion Williamson looked like a really good player coming out of Duke, whatever it was, 7-8 years ago.
Sure.
He's been really good in the NBA.
But why
he
is
sure
he
as
not?
heck has not been Luka Doncic.
But why is he not?
What?
Weight problems. Which is part of why Luka's out of town. Whether that's part of the messaging that came out of it.
He's still first team
I
All
understand
NBA
that.
5 straight years despite these weight
I understand
problems.
that. I understand that. But here's part of the calculus too, and I want to ask on your hypotheticals. Nico's still involved with the team if you trade the first overall draft pick for Luka. Yes or no?
I was going to pose this: if you're Patrick Dumont and you see kind of how everything unfolds after that Luka trade.
Yeah.
And clearly the whole nucleus there did not realize what they had done.
No.
But now they have. And now you're going to entrust Nico Harrison as your GM to now build a team with a young talent like Cooper Flagg. Do you trust him to make the right decisions after what he just did with Luka Doncic?
So
do you trust him not to clash with Cooper Flagg the same way he evidently did with Luka?
Well, the difference is Cooper's coming into a known situation, whereas if you want to get into the Tim McMahon article where Luka came into and was basically translated from overseas to the Mavs organization from a cultural perspective, they didn't break him in basically and change him overnight. They changed things for him. The difference is Cooper knows what he's getting into, you would think. He just saw the messaging. He knows the kind of player that Nico's going to want on some level. So that's where the discrepancy hits. And more importantly, if Nico's going to switch this team around, and it's not saying that Luka returning to Dallas wouldn't be a huge and massive emotional shift for a lot of people involved in this franchise. I just mean that this is a chance for a literal reset button. And more importantly, you gain 6 years out of it. Like, that's the other side of it. Whether you know what Flagg's going to be or not compared to what Luka is.
8 years.
Right, exactly. So
Luka is 26. Flagg is still 18. Won't turn 19 until December. There's almost an 8-year difference in age.
But Luka's prime is still in the next 3 years or so, and we don't know how his body's going to react. He himself has said he doesn't want to play as long as LeBron has. So you're at this point, instead of seeing what Flagg develops, you're taking the back half of Luka's career because, by all accounts, it could be the back half of it. So that's the only reason why I would say no, in the sense that this is a clean slate opportunity. Everything is right back in front of you, and you get the chance for Flagg to come in and learn behind Davis and a lot of these guys that know how to play his position to the best level. So on some level, he's got the best possible runway to come in on a team that knows how to, that you would think can win, at least from what we have seen in the 2.5 quarters of healthy basketball we've gotten out of it. But you
really
would
clinging to those 2.5 quarters.
I'm just
baby.
saying, like, if the vision exists, and I don't think I would make the move. I feel like I would hang my hat on whatever Flagg turns out to be, and if it doesn't work in the first 2 or 3 years, then build around the kid and see what happens.
All fair. I mean, it's fun to talk about.
I probably put myself on an island here. That's all right.
We thought, as certainly as a department, how many times have we talked about this in the last few months?
About
the city of Dallas feeling cursed in the aftermath of this.
Yeah.
And especially in the immediate aftermath, it really felt that way. But now with a couple of months worth of 30,000-foot view to look back on it, since they traded Luka, the city of Dallas has now added Mikko Rantanen, Paige Beckers, and Cooper Flagg in pretty short order.
Right.
All of a sudden things are... And George Pickens, yeah, throw him in the mix too. Why not? Like it's
right.
The arrow's pointed back in a better direction all of a sudden.
You could probably point to them drafting Page as the inflection point for a lot of this, because pretty soon after that, Nico's got 2 hat tricks. The Stars are on a roll all of a sudden because they were on the opposite end of every result for 2 weeks there toward the tail end of the season. So a lot of stuff is breaking right for them right now. It's just hard not to look at this and sit there and think, is this part of the ebb back in the right direction?
I've seen a lot of Mavs fans on social media already lamenting that their concerns of trading the pick.
Oh, I know.
For whatever reason, just because they want to live in that dark place. But yeah, I mean,
it's hard not to feel like they're still in it on some level. Like, again, I was joking about the 2.5 quarters, but that's really all we got. We got one play-in game of really quality basketball against a 9 seed, and then another play-in game that failed to live up to expectations for sure as far as the Grizzlies game goes. And I get it, Kyrie wasn't available for that, but that's part of the issue. So at least where Flagg is concerned, you would think, whether he, unless he develops some kind of significant injury earlier on in his career that haunts him for the first few years, he's going to be a consistent force on this team for a while. And ideally in his youth, where he's got the energy to play both ends of the floor and really set the table for the rest of the franchise.
Tweet from a guy named Big John Daniel on Twitter. Back in early March, I sent out a tweet listing out all of the awful things that had happened to the Mavericks franchise, from the trade of Luka to Nico's press conference to Luka being introed by the Lakers,
to the
Mavs trading Quentin Grimes, to AD getting hurt, to Dirk going to Luka's debut, to Mavs fans saying fire Nico at every venue across that way. I went through the whole list all the way through Kyrie Irving tearing his ACL on March 4th. And one of the replies, where did it just go? I just had it here handy. Here we go. This guy replies to it, forecasting to the future. He says, March 10th, Anthony Davis shut down for the season. March 15th, Klay Thompson will miss extended time due to lower back stiffness. March 20th, Derek Lively rehab setback, will miss the remainder of the season. All of those were fantastical, just hypothetical future things that were going to happen that were bad for the Mavs franchise. And then he puts May 12th, Mavs win the draft lottery, awarded first overall pick as payment for Luka trade. The other 3 didn't work out, but that one he nailed spot on.
Payment, yeah.
What are the odds? 1.8%. So, yeah.
Oh, man.
It's
crazy.
It's just so ridiculous to believe. I had some point, and then Mike started reading tweets, and I lost my train of thought. Come back to me. No, it's there's just so much now that has to play out, and it's impossible to forecast. Part of me wonders, like, this is like a perfect time if you want to hire a new GM and just to like start fresh, you could do it, but that's just clearly not going to happen. The other thing is with Cooper Flagg. Come back to me. Let me craft this thought before I say words that don't make sense.
You started down a different path a little bit ago as it related to the moving on from Nico possibility here. And I think there is reason for Patrick Dumont, for the Dumont family, for the Adelson family, to potentially look at this as exactly the starter fluid to make that move, because of the Tim McMahon article, because of all of the details behind that, because of the concerns that if you read that article, and if that's reality, if the Tim McMahon article is reality, which I have no reason to believe that it's not, I'm not casting aspersions on McMahon's reporting at all. If that's reality, how do you not have concerns about Nico Harrison's interpersonal skills, about Nico Harrison's ability to get along with his coworkers, about Nico Harrison's ability to lead human beings? How do you not come out of that reality thinking, is this really the guy that we want leading our franchise? And then in addition to that, all of the moves that he has made just this season. Because listen, before he traded Luka, I think we all thought he was doing a pretty darn good job. The moves that he made for P.J. Washington and drafting Derek Lively and going out and get Gafford, like, he had made some good moves. There was some good data on the wall before he traded Luka. A lot of the things he did this year did not work out and don't look like they're going to work out. Looks a lot better a chance to work out now that today has happened. But how do you not come out of that questioning his ability to lead people and to interact and get along with people? And now you're about to bring in the guy that is going to be your future. Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving, both really, really good players that have had terrific careers and probably still have some runway out in front of them. But we're talking 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 years at best for these two guys. Cooper Flagg is now your future. Cooper Flagg is now your franchise. Do you trust this guy to be the person to usher him into the NBA and begin that process?
The other thing I want to bring up is the strength and conditioning coaches that were just let go on top of it. Like the staff changed behind the scenes right before this draft, where I believe they, correct me if I'm wrong, they were holding draft workouts on some level for a bunch of these guys, and that might have been where some of the blow up was happening behind the scenes that caused the inevitable firing. I might have
I'm not certain.
I don't remember the specifics of it, so I'm probably just throwing words out like Jonah was trying not to earlier. So I apologize in advance. That's not the case.
Right.
But
I got some,
go ahead.
You go ahead. Go ahead. You're good.
I was basically just saying, like, the timing of that also adds to this, where it's like, okay, if Nico decided he made the wrong choice from a strength and conditioning perspective after lauding these guys 3 weeks ago, the idea that now all of a sudden we're hard pivoting toward a completely different direction from the guys that he trusted to begin with this entire process says some changes are heading into it. Something's happening behind the scenes here where he's losing control on some level. We already know on some level you have to believe he's lost enough trust to where he doesn't have the total control of the organization that I think we all realized he had the moment the Luka trade happened. So a lot of stuff is going to be different moving forward. That's my main question, is how much does the new faces that come in reshape everything? Are they Nico's guys? Are they Dumont's guys? Are they whoever? You know what I mean? Like, this is going to be a very different franchise just from the executive level down, let alone the players on the court, Jonah.
Well, I think this is what I was going to bring up. One of the things that's happened since that Luka trade, and I mean, there was some writing on the wall before the Luka trade, was sort of this pushing Dirk Nowitzki away,
Yeah.
whether intentional or unintentional. But this organization, which was led by this guy for more than 2 decades, has the statue outside and everything, who is still kind of around the team and, serving as like an ambassador type and, sharing some counsel or, his thoughts and some stuff. And they've just really sort of pushed him away. And that Luka trade, it felt like we never really saw or heard from Dirk again. And, the reporting out there is that he's just really turned off by the organization. That does not sit well with Mavericks fans. Mavs fans adore Dirk. He's number one. He is here. He's almost above the organization. That's how much they revere him. The next step for the Mavs is to repair their relationship with Dirk Nowitzki in some capacity, in some way, because that will help the healing. That will help Mavs fans, feel like in good graces again with the team. If their favorite, if their franchise player of the past and really of all time, can get back on board, then I feel like that will lead the mission.
So that's kind of an interesting follow-up, though. It does, because Luka on some level was that handoff. They push
Luka away. Cooper Flagg comes in. Here's this big dude, can shoot the three. He's not Dirk, but he's sort of like a souped-up, talented version of Dirk. Doesn't do the same things, but does different things. I just look at it as this is an opportunity for a young kid who was similar in Dirk's shoes at a young age coming to a new place. This would be an amazing opportunity for Dirk to take him under his wing. And I just don't know, because of the relationship now with the organization, if that's something Dirk would want to do. Maybe they would do it out, away from the actual team. But I mean, it's a perfect opportunity for, kind of that Dirk nurturing, and to kind of amend that, to repair it in some way, because it's been so fractured over the last handful of months that this gives him an opportunity to do that. Whereas I don't know the next time they would have an opportunity to do it otherwise. So, if Mavs organization, management, ownership, they feel like, okay, we need to bring Dirk back into our circle and to get people pumped up again. I don't know what the plan is there, how that would happen, but getting Cooper Flagg is certainly a draw to kind of make him feel a part of it again.
How quickly do you think?
I don't know if any of that makes sense, by the way. What's that?
I said, how quickly do you think Nico Harrison calls a press conference this time? You think it'll be a back room, closed door, no recording devices allowed kind of deal, or
that was
bright lights, cameras? Hey, welcome in. We got the number 1 pick. How's everybody doing?
Yeah, the secret roundtable, only to have a press conference 2 days, 3 days later. What are we doing?
That the press conference that followed was at least like, hey, they realized, you know what? That was a dumb idea. We need to do this better. Let's do this differently. Let's do this the right way. And at least they did that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And then they said all the same things that they said after the Luka trade happened. There was no sort of accountability, and here we are.
Yep.
Listen, this amazing moment for Mavs fans is tainted because of the excitement that it also brings ownership and management that doesn't deserve it. Mike, I think you hit the nail on the head earlier. This is not an organization that deserves this moment. Fans do, but the team itself, the front office itself, certainly not.
I guess we'll leave it there because what else?
Buddy,
it is a crazy, crazy night in a spring full of crazy events, especially for Mavs fans, but for Dallas sports fans in general.
3 months. 3 months of a roller coaster ride. Like that's literally
I'm
what
mainlining coffee at 7:40 in the evening. I'm cooked.
The only thing I'll say, Mike, is so much for Luka not getting mentioned on the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, because I get the feeling
it's not going to happen, buddy.
That's all the way through the summer until we hit our hiatus. Good
Jonah,
Lord.
thank you very much. Tell your wife thank you as well for last minute changing her plans. And
Yep.
Good night to the little man. And thank you again. We appreciate you hopping on.
You bet, guys.
Mavs fans, congrats. You got Cooper Flagg.
We'll
talk to you tonight at 10.
Welcome to the future again.